Welcome to this presentation on art critique and life drawing. You will recognize the art terms from the elements and principles of art and use this to discuss and support your constructive criticism. Today we will discuss the Feldman method of art criticism. The method contains 4 steps: describe, analyze, interpret, and judge. Step 1 is the description. You can just describe exactly what you see in enough detail so that your audience can visualize the artwork from your words. Do not use judgments or opinions. Do not say things like, "I do not like this," or "this is ugly." And here are a few things to consider when writing your description. The shape. The drawing itself is rectangular in shape. The portrait of the figure and the heart is realistic. There are swirled circular shapes in the background. Texture. The gradients in value throughout the drawing create a smooth texture. Color. Grayscale with a medium green background. It's monochromatic. Angles. The figure is facing the viewer and looking straight ahead with her head at a slight angle. Perspective. The figure is at eye level. Light source. The light is coming from the right side of the image, casting more shadows on the left side of the drawing on the face of the figure and underneath the neck. Media. The drawing is graphite and white chalk on a medium green colored paper. Form. It's two-dimensional paper, not three-dimensional or a computer graphic. Space. The size of the figure takes up almost all the page from head to bust. The size of the exposed heart muscle is slightly larger than normal. The artist's title and date. It's by me, Asiya Rafai. Your Body is a Battleground is the title. 2011 is the date. Usually all artwork will have a plaque or paper next to it with this information. The size is 18 inches by 24 inches. Now step 2 is analysis. You're going to examine the relationships between the elements of art by referring to the principles of design, which are contrast, repetition, unity, movement, balance, and emphasis. Ask yourself these questions when completing the analysis. How does the artist visually organize the composition? The composition is engaging, with the figure taking the almost whole of the composition and looking straight at the viewer. What is in the foreground, middle ground, and background? The female figure is at the foreground, and the swirly, soft lines are in the background. How has the picture been arranged? The organic movements connect the whole piece together, moving my eye in and out of the drawing. What colors are used and how have they been arranged? The medium green color with the graphite makes me think of antiques and old photographs and old paper. What shapes are there and how have they been arranged? The composition contains all the organic shapes. The realistic heart muscle in the foreground makes me think of passion and being alive and pumping blood. The half of the left face shows some of the bones underneath, and the part of the left side of the brain is exposed. The word battleground is drawn on the bottom of the paper. The addition of those words makes me think about fighting or standing your ground using your heart and your mind. Are there any leading lines, and if so, where is your eyelid? The swirled background lines fade into the bones and the veins like lines in the neck and the chest. A lot of these questions can be combined when critiquing art. Is there any use of contrast? If so, where? The dark values and lines on the portrait and the white chalk on the face and the heart create those contrasts. Is there any use of pattern? If so, where? Organic pattern is used throughout the drawing. Is there a sense of space or perspective? Yes, however, if there was more values, it could have been created more of a sense of space between the background and the foreground. Are there any special techniques employed by the artist? I would say shading and blending. Step 3 is interpretation. Ask yourself, what do you believe was the goal of the artist? I believe it was to engage the viewer. What message is he or she trying to make? Feminism, or the fight and power in women? How is the artist's intention? Or what was the artist's intention? To create a drawing that engages viewers and makes them think about the message of a battleground and how it relates to society's view of women. Is there a mood or feeling being conveyed? I get focus, strength, passion when looking at the eyes of the female figure and the exposed heart and the brain. Remember to use the description and analysis to support your opinion. Finally, step 4 is the judgment of classification. Ask yourself, what aesthetic classification does the artwork illustrate? Support your decision with description analysis and interpretation. I would say it is a combination of realism and surrealism. Realism because of the figure and the skeleton, the heart muscle, and the brain tissue. Surrealism because of the swirls in the background and the vague lines of the veins in the chest. And the combination of showing the skeletal and muscle layers, the right half of the face, and the words on the bottom. To the right is an example of a constructive critique where I state why I find the drawing successful. Now you know how to critique art. Just remember, describe what you see and not what you think. Follow this link for the Fieldman Method of Art Criticism document.